Welcome to Talking in Stations. I am Matterall. We're going to go over EVE Online news for you for this next hour. Then we'll lead into Open Comms since it's Friday. And you can have a party for the rest of the night. First, we have some stuff to go over. Make sure you know what's going on in EVE Online. Let's take a look. Oh, actually, I should announce that Grigorin is here with me. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good. Okay, so here's our stories today. We're going to talk about the Mac client, which is fantastic news. We're going to talk about fighting in Delve and in Fountain. We'll look at some of the battle reports that happened there. And a couple announcements here of Sound Mind opens up a report. It's interesting. We'll get a look at the numbers as far as combatants in this war. Salvage drones too have been spotted. That'll make somebody that we know very happy. So those are the new things that we're looking at as of today. Okay, let's get started. The first thing is the Mac client is going to be native. And at one point, first of all, this is great news for people who like Macintosh, like myself. This is phenomenal for a few reasons. One is it was not sure that the Mac client was even going to get developed on anymore because the amount of dev time to make sure something works on Windows and then also works on Macintosh takes more time for them. So it was at one point I asked the executive producer of EVE Online, are you guys going to still develop for Macintosh? And he said, well, it has its trade-offs, and so I thought they might kill it. This was about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. Maybe it was a year and a half ago. And this is just really welcome news for anybody who's on Macintosh. A native client, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it's going to be Big Sur capable, which is great. And it's going to use Metal Framework, which is a graphics framework for Mac. And so it should run pretty well. The thing about Macintosh at this time is that it's switching its chipset from Intel over to M1, which is Apple's own chip. And it's the same chip type that's used for iPads and iPhones. And so the new Macintoshes that come out will be able to use your apps on your phone, on your iPad, on your computer. And I'm not sure how this will work with that, if this is going to use like a Rosetta translation function. Although the Rosetta style translation function on this new Mac is incredibly fast, apparently 50 to 75% its normal speed. And so it just there's too many things in the air to know if this will work really well with the new chipset that's coming out, but I assume they're moving in that direction. Otherwise it would be a really poorly timed announcement. So and if that's true, I don't know if you've seen some of the benchmarks for the new M1 chip from Apple, but it is astounding how little heat it generates for the amount of performance that it gets. It's astounding how fast the RAM works. It's actually like a good 40% its normal size. So like a 16 gigabytes of RAM on a PC, for instance. Essentially on a Mac, a 16 gigabyte RAM would be about 20. It's just an astounding breakthroughs that they've made. Okay, but I know you guys aren't Mac fans, so we won't linger too long. But it's good for people like me who use Macintosh a lot and want to go back to it. Whew, that took a lot longer than I meant it to be, but I was really excited about that one. Okay, let's get to fighting in Delve and in Fountain. And first up, let's take a look at what we talked about yesterday, some of the stuff happening in my map. Here you are. There we go. Fountain. Change over to iHub ownership. You can see, I think this is Basilisk, and let me check what that constellation is. It's Basilisk, and I didn't memorize it. Hydra. So the Basilisk is in green and Hydra is in blue. These are the two areas that were reinforced yesterday and marked for destruction today. So I'll get you a better view there. Let's take a look at the iHub changes. Yeah, so you can already see like NC dot in the name of Pappy, NC dot, one of the alliances there, took over most of that. Were you on those fleets, Grigorin?
Yeah, I was actually on fleets for a while today. I bridged back to staging them basically the minute the show began.
How long were you out? How long
A
were you out
few
there?
hours. Some people. Well, the fleets. I wasn't around for the whole thing, but the fleets were out for like 7 hours total.
Wow, a lot. So they managed to
Yeah.
take the iHubs in these systems, right? In these two constellations.
Yeah, we took 14 iHubs worth of stuff.
Was there anything else in there?
And then after the iHubs fighting, well, actually started during the iHubs, we had faction Fortizar fights. Well, I joined that fleet because I'd lost a ship, my first ship in the iHub fights, and then another ship, and then it became too dangerous to catch up, so I just joined the ping for the faction Fortizar fighting.
Yeah. But what were some of the markers? What did you guys destroy there? Like, have Billy here in chat saying a Fortizar and a faction Fortizar. I think we have a kill mail for that, right? Let's have a look.
Yeah, there were I I thought the regular Fortizar repaired, but we did destroy a Prometheus Fortizar.
Yeah. Oh, that was in Delve, though. That was in a very popular system in Delve, C3N. That was the headquarters of Nelly Segunda during Thunderdome, like in 2012. 3CN. Sorry, C3N. Let's have a look where it is on the map here.
Oh, so that faction Fortizar might have had a lot of people's stuff just sent to asset safety then from years ago.
I think I might have had some stuff in that station if that was the original station, which now I'm thinking about it. Of course, that's the original station. And wow, that sucks. You guys killed my old home. Oh, I just realized that.
Sorry.
That's all right. It's right here. I'll light it up for you so you can see. Yeah, because there's no reason to move it if you don't have to. And so if the Imperium inherited that station, which they did, then it probably had its original rigs on it to keep it more powerful, which means that it really had all the stuff that was in there before. So you can see it's down here in the south. Oh, well, anyway, that makes me sad. But that was Nully's headquarters way back in 212. I wonder if it was ProGod that killed it. That would be kind of funny. And I used to rat right here in LWX 93 because if you look at the security, it's a really good system. Yeah, so that was usually where I would rat, and then I would come here to run fleets many years ago. So that station, that NPC station, turned into a faction Fortizar. The ownership went to the owner of the Sov, which was Goonswarm, and now it is destroyed by Pappy. Okay, but that was in Delve, and was that a good fight? Do you remember?
Oh, we got some decent fighting out of it. They put up more of a fight than they have for a lot of their other stuff, which I was happy to see.
Sorry, interrupted there. Little real life thing.
Yeah, the Imperium fought hard enough to defend it that when it died, we had like 15 seconds left on the timer before it repaired.
Wow, so it was a close one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it went down. It's, of course, wouldn't drop those rigs that are so important in there. And everybody's stuff in there would actually go to asset safety. It wouldn't get popped out as loot. So, because this thing was actually fueled and ready to go.
And faction Fortizars have it. One of their bonuses now is that they will never go abandoned, regardless of whether or not they have the rig.
Oh, is that right? Didn't know that. Okay. All right, so C3N NPC station, aka Faction Fortizar, destroyed. It's kind of sad. Now that I think about it, all these faction fortizars, not the ones in 1DQ that were donated by Sword Dragon, but all the other ones that are native to the area, those were all NPC stations that we used to live in when we lived in Delve once or twice. I think I lived in Delve like 2 or 3 times. Okay. Some more battle news. This battle report was the first engagement that you had. Let's have a look. So some fierce fighting, wouldn't you say, Gregorian?
Yeah, it was pretty. Like, I died twice during this. I lost a basilisk and a Kirin, and then I showed up with an eagle to the faction fortizar.
Well, this one looks one-sided completely. In fact, this is 100%.
Yeah, that was the first. Yeah, the first when they first showed up to fight us, it was with bombers, and they didn't do too well. But they did a lot better when they brought their hack fleets out.
If you're looking at the screen, everything in red has died, and everything in black hasn't, and that is literally black and red. That means everybody died on one side and nobody died on the other. And I don't think I've ever seen a kill report like that. So that was ZBX. Yeah. Let's look on the map just so you can visualize it. ZBX is actually the connecting point right here. I'll tap on it so you can see it a bit better. To Fountain. So that's the connection from Delve to Fountain.
Yeah, stealth bombers they can be, if they go wrong, they can go very wrong. But if it goes well with them, they can go really well. So I guess that's what happened here.
Okay. Well, so that was the first one. So no sweat there. Let's take a look at the second battle report. This one was probably more of more back and forth on this one.
Yeah, that battle report covers multiple systems.
Yeah, this is much more even. It's 1/3 to 2/3 favoring Pappy there. The overall damage done in this battle is well, it's pretty good, about 90 billion. Really good for a skirmish. This is not a one-day thing. This was a Prometheus fight, right?
No, well, which one are you looking at?
Now I'm looking at. You should be able to see my screen. It's I don't know how to tell you. It's the one with 2 faction fortizars in it.
Okay, yeah, that would have been the Prometheus then. That was the one Prometheus showing up twice because at one point it got some kills credited to one person with gunner rolls, and that person was not the person who got the lost mail for it.
Right. So can you describe what happened in this fight? You said something pretty interesting, that it came down to the wire. You barely killed it with a few.
Yeah. We'd been it started with a secondary fleet being formed up around 2 hours ago to contest some objectives in Delve while the Sov fleets were still out in Fountain.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were fighting a Cerberus fleet, and then we ended up alternating with, I think it was a Legacy Ferox fleet. So one of us was on the Fortizar, pausing the timer while the other was fighting the Imperium fleets, and then sometimes we switched off.
Yeah. All right, cool. So listen, you had, I think the wrap up here is some fierce battles. Took out a couple faction fortizars. I believe there was one in Fountain and one in Delve. The damage was done in Fountain that was predicted. Those iHubs flipped. And we kind of buried the lead here, but I've got some reports from actually several different sources that Initiative was on the move running through Domain. And they were spotted in Gatamin earlier today. So
Yeah,
where are they
I had
going?
heard similar things. Well, Billy had been saying for the past week or so that they were deploying to the southeast, which makes me think Curse.
Yep.
I don't know specifically where they are right now, but that would make sense that this would be their move up. And,
Well, I was seeing
and
something earlier today that there was a fight with, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just mute this up before it starts. I'm looking at Z Pando, who's one of their FCs for the initiative, and he had. There was something going on today. Let's tap on videos here. No, I don't see it, but I thought there was something about battling XIX. I saw something was flagged on my notification, so it might have been something else.
that would make sense as people to fight if you're staging out of Curse.
Right. So I don't know. I wish I could find that. Well, maybe I can find it in my notifications and see what it was.
Yeah, I don't know if they're there yet, and I did see something on Reddit about them fighting Domain Research and Mining Institute, which is one of the low-sec parts of Wrecking Crew. They live in the low-sec parts of Domain mainly.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see it in my notifications, but something did pop up about XIX. What we think is going to happen from the information that we have from a few sources, but I still don't know if it's confirmed because I've heard people from Initiative say that no, we're not going to Curse. So, but I think they're going to Curse, and they're probably there to, from what I've heard, do some ratting and do some killing, and they'll probably take on XIX and some legacy and attack from the backfield, and then if they're running out of targets, they might be able to move into I don't know, fraternity territory or something. They might have options there that they don't have in Fountain, because in Fountain they're going to be overwhelmed by the likes of NC Dot and PL and Test and Horde all coming at them at the same time. So it's no fun to get out blobbed. There's no way they can hold on to Fountain unless they put up a fierce resistance with the help of Goon Swarm, which doesn't appear to be possible since Goon Swarm's hunkered down. So they're going to either in lieu of or for other reasons, they have moved out. There probably won't be a defensive Fountain. And instead, Initiative is going to try to do some damage elsewhere, probably on the backside of Legacy and their allies. That's what it looks like. And for those that don't understand what that looks like, who are newer, go to the universe map. And the war is happening way over here on the left, right? We're talking about Delve, period basis, even up here in Fountain, they're connected. And they have moved all the way over here to Curse, which is, basically getting near the Dronelands. So Curse, Wicked Creek. Actually, Dronelands are northeast. But yeah, Curse puts them in, Catch in Immensia, Wicked Creek, Scalding Pass, Great Wildlands.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a target-rich environment. Does that seem like a target-rich environment?
I'm not sure what that area of space looks like. It was last time I was looking for targets out there, but that was before the war.
Yeah, Curse has always been a rough place with usually Russians living in it. And the Russians in Curse were always fighting the Russians in Stain. But Curse is really, they say it's where alliances go to die. But it's also historically been, first of all, it's NPC based, and nobody can own it, right? And it's got these long pipes, which means you have to travel through a lot of choke points, which is good for ganking and, well, not ganking, but gate camping. Yeah. But then it's also got places here where you have 4 or 5 entrances, so it allows some interesting decision making as you're trying to get, through places. And roaming, you go roaming all over the place.
Yeah, a few alliances like Dreadbomb and Tactical Supremacy have been getting some interesting content staging out of Curse recently.
Yeah, since let's look at how many have been jumps. Well, let's look at jumps first to see how active it is. H or Haddock here, HTAC A DOC, is actually one of the sites where one of the early Titans was destroyed. It's a very dramatic fashion. So that's a very popular system because you can see it enters into Scalding Pass, but it also has 3 entry or 4 or 5 entry points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and you have to go through it in order to get to these areas back here. I used to live in Haddock, actually. And let's see. It's like a tour of my old haunts. Now let's look at kills, not NPC kills, but actual kills. And ship pods in the last 24 hours. So yeah, this appears to be some action over here. And what is that? D8. But we're talking like 20, 12. Those are the highest systems. So Curse itself isn't that active right now. It's a little bit here, a little bit there. But maybe when they get there, there'll be more. Who knows? But let's look at Scalding Pass, because I've heard Scalding Pass might be on the menu as well for initiative. And again, you see these numbers are like 10 kills, 16 kills. Not a whole lot going on. Let's back up one more time and go over to catch. And this is where their target probably is. And this place right now is inactive, but if you look at it, this is there's 130 over here in GE, but that's one of the key systems for the legacy. If we look at iHub ownership, there's a lot to take. There's a lot to take over here if they want.
Scalding Pass Scalding Pass in particular is a region that doesn't currently have a lot of iHubs. Like looks like something like half of the region doesn't have iHubs. So if they wanted to set up there, that they could easily drop a few iHubs there.
Yeah. Well, the Watchmen are the ones that live in this sector here, and that would be the east side of Catch, let's say. They own a bunch of territories. Again, long pipes.
The Watchman is predominantly an Australian time zone.
Oh, really? Oh, I should join them. I'm late night Pacific. My first corp was a small Australian corp. I like Australians. All right, so that's what's going on. The initiative moving out to Curse, probably. We'll confirm that tomorrow when we know they're there. We start seeing their kill boards. Actually, we could check that out right now. Yeah, we have time, right? You guys will stick around if I do some research in front of you?
I don't know if they're actually in Curse yet because they're predominantly European time zone, and based on when people were talking about move-ups, it was getting pretty late into the evening for them, so they might have just logged off their capitals instead at some point instead of waiting half an hour between each jump.
Yeah, there's no activity on their kill board. It's just some orcas they killed in Cinq-Liaison. That was probably just some alts. All right, so we'll find out tomorrow. We'll let you know where the initiative ends up. We think Curse. Okay, so the war effort overall, Ned Flanders, who is not from Bastion, although he's marked as from Bastion, did his once every 2 week, I think, numbers crunch on really the ground floor of the war is how many people are participating. Is anybody dying? Is anybody tired of participating and leaving the war? And so that's why this is kind of an important graph, and this is based on Z Killboard, and it's active characters, which means if a character got a kill in the last 2 weeks, it will register here. And the graph, I think, shows every day, but I think it's published every 2 weeks. So as far as combatants, let's have a look at that, because we put these numbers out too, and Goonswarm has about 3,500, 3,400. And Pandemic Horde has about 2,800, and Test has about 2,000. I'm rounding up and down. And that is a bit lower, a little softer than it was 18 weeks ago, which was quite a ways. but not much softer than 2 weeks ago. The one big anomaly here is NC dot looks like it's on vacation, but it's not, because they had only 580, and before that, 2 weeks ago, they had like 750. That's a pretty big drop, about 25%. But as you can see, they took over all that stuff in Fountain, so they're active. But everybody's taken a dip. You can see Goon Swarm's down. I don't think that's their lowest for this entire war effort, but it's getting there. No, this is their lowest point here. Lowest point of activity, right? And there may not have been a lot of things going on. It doesn't mean that they were broken or anything. But they're definitely slumping. It's funny, all these numbers kind of parallel each other. These humps here are when the keep stars were being dropped and everybody was logging in to fight. And this drop here was probably the burning of Aquarius and how that was taking a long time and was kind of slow. And the numbers here were really high, probably because that was the... I don't know if this started when the war started, but this is... Yeah, this is not when the war started. But I would think this is coming off activity from the excitement of the early war. Right here is where the slog happens.
And Brave is the one alliance that on this graph that has been the most stable. Even during the keep stars, they didn't get a huge hump in activity.
Yeah, they're the light blue down here at the bottom, and they're just super consistent at 1,000, almost entirely 900 to 1,000, and it just doesn't waver. Their morale has not been broken, and they haven't seen a surge of activity, which means they're an incredibly stable alliance as far as participation goes. They are way more stable than Goon Swarm, than Horde, than Test. Test is really improved, though, if I'm looking at this right. Looking at this tracking here, yeah, Test is yellow right here. And you can see it's it just ticks up steadily. Now, it has softened a little bit like everybody else, but not quite to the same degree.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Actually, Angry Mustache, who, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the higher up people in Goon Swarm, pointed out something interesting with regard to Brave's numbers.
What do you say?
Well, he pointed out that, well, Horde, Goon Swarm, and Test, which all have fairly similar requirements, as opposed to something like NC, which you only have your characters you PvP on in the Alliance, and you have to be active in fleets to stay in the Alliance. Horde, Goon Swarm, and Test all have pretty much very close in terms of percent active characters.
Mm-hmm.
And Brave has similar requirements. It's just that the main thing that Brave doesn't do as much is purge inactive characters from the Alliance. And according to him, it looks like Brave hasn't done an inactivity purge in at least a year.
That wouldn't matter to these statistics because these are Z kill boards. These characters all have to hit something at some time, so inactives don't show up on this. This is
right.
Active PvPs.
It's showing what percent of the Alliance is active characters, and that's why Brave has a lower percent active than Horde, Test, and Goon Swarm, which are almost neck and neck.
Right, but these are numbers compared to themselves, so it's actives compared to actives. There's no inactives in this chart. When we did our chart, we said, here's their theoretical numbers, here's their actual activity, and then we did a percentage, and it was always like 10%, right? Because there's super inflated numbers. But this doesn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah, but this was in response to someone calculating the number of actives as a total percentage of the total characters in the Alliance. So,
yeah. All right. Well, I don't know what they're drinking in Brave, but
yeah, it is an interesting point, though.
I think it's an interesting data point. Yeah, and Dunk Dinkle's doing something right. I think he talks, as you know, he does his videos. He talks to his people. He's not even the leader, but he is a manager of sorts, and he is probably part of the leadership. He's certainly, a face guy for them.
He is the he's the
CSM.
main face of Brave leadership.
Yeah. And
Like
go ahead.
it's
I'm
like
cutting you.
how Billy isn't the leader of Test. He's just one of the top guys and the most public of them.
Well, yeah. I mean, ProGod's very public too, but ProGod's. It depends. I guess he's not doing the talk show circuit, so we haven't heard from him. But Billy's getting the word out. That's the difference. But they're both active. Again, we don't know what's going on with Brave, but they're doing something right. So good for them. All right. And here's another thing to credit Dunk, because he's somebody who'd always made a joke of this. Whenever you see his videos that he makes, he'll have a little sign stuck in the background saying "Salvage drones 2, please." And it looks like he's getting his wish. Probably not a surprise to him since he was on CSM, but maybe it is. I don't know. Salvage 2 drones have been seen on the test server, and also a faction variant of salvage drones have been there as well.
And the faction variant is named Dunk.
Ha! Oh, that's awesome. Good for him. That is hilarious. So we may be seeing those. What was interesting about those, and I think I mentioned it to Billy, but I didn't quite get an answer. Do they auto-aggress salvage? Do they go and collect the salvage for you? And there's a reason that's important. There was a time, again, when I was doing missions, I was running a Marauder, and a Marauder has a lot fewer guns, I believe, than the Battleship.
It has half the guns, but a bonus that it does roughly the same amount of damage, and bonuses to use the open utility high slots for things like salvagers and tractor beams.
Exactly. Because you're out there destroying things and then salvaging them. That's kind of what the Marauder's supposed to be, right? And the thing I used with the Marauder were the salvage drones, because once you start wrecking things, and you wreck things quickly in a Marauder, it's a powerful ship. The drones just go and they're cleaning up the mess that you're making, and by the time you finish killing everything, all the drones have salvaged, and it's just an easy way to like really come into a place and get your bounties by destroying things, but also get your salvage, which ends up sometimes being as important as the bounties that you got. It ends up being the other half of the money. And so salvage drones are fantastic with those. The thing is, you launch them and you just say aggress the first one, and once you destroy it, they'll go and grab that one, and then you're destroying everything else, and they're kind of following you. I don't know if that is going to continue with the drone change that's coming in December. I've heard from, I believe, CSM members said that, yeah, it will work, because it's only NPC aggression that's affected, but I don't know technically if the salvage drones work on an aggression type of mechanic or not. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they work in a different way.
Well, then the salvage drones are going to be really cool, and the faction T2s, I think, with the name Dunk on it, will be even cooler. So that would be awesome. All right, I think we ripped through the news today. I don't know if that was fast. There's one other thing. It's a little follow-up yesterday. We have a couple things on this, actually. This is Ashley, who put together an article. She was here yesterday talking about foxholers and how they successfully defended against Lesheks. And has written an article, how not to get evicted, or how to not get evicted. And then I think this is essentially an after-action report about what actually happened. So if you want to read that, we'll post it into your chat just now here. And then I think somebody passed me, I think it might have been you, Gregorian. Let me check it out. A video of yesterday's fight. It was you. So we'll put that on. I'm going to mute it so that we don't get into trouble. But we'll watch a little bit of this fight between foxholers and over there. This is foxholders versus hold control. Hold control being in red, foxholders being in purple. I don't think we're going to get to zoom in on it. Let's see. But yeah, if you want to watch this video on your own, it's 18 minutes long. I think it's the whole fight. Pretty exciting. Has great music that you will enjoy. It looks like they chewed up hold control pretty well, but they took a significant amount of damage doing it. They were using the battleships. Oh, help me out there. Praxis, yeah. I was going to call them the Parabellum or something. I don't know. I don't even.
Yeah, Praxis with cruise missiles.
Yeah. So check out that video. There was also one yesterday that we were looking at. Who was that? I don't know if it was the PL video that kind of summarized the war. Did we talk about that yesterday?
Yeah, PL did their war in retrospect. That looked like it was specifically done by the Corp Lucidus Ordo, which is an Italian corp in PL.
Yeah. That's some good editing, you know? Like, he put some characters in there. It definitely had a lot of meme value, which I technically don't like. Not technically, I actually don't like. But what I thought it was a lost opportunity because you had a lot of FC comms on there, which I always love to hear. Nothing is more exciting than watching a battle and hearing the stress levels of the people playing. That's what makes it authentic. And he left a lot of that in at the beginning, but then he started putting in some clowny stuff like sound effects and that sort of stuff. All right, you know what we'll do? We'll do a little something different. We have about 10 minutes. I'm going to see if not that this is a big deal, but do you guys have any questions that you want to throw our way? We'll try to answer them or get you answers here live, but ask me anything, ask us anything.
One other thing is that the Corp of Sound Mind, which used to be a wormhole corp until I guess it was a little bit less than a year ago, because I remember when I moved out of wormholes almost exactly a year ago, I thought they still lived in a wormhole. They've announced that they will be opening up a Freeport complex in Syndicate for market and reactions and things like that.
Pretty cool. Of Sound Mind, before they were wormholers, they lived in Pravi, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look up their alliance. I just want to make sure I'm getting the right ones. They have a really shy... they were actually really well allied with Brave at one point. God, I hope I'm... Let's see. Before I go on, I want to make sure I'm talking about the right people. I'm not sure. Yeah, am I right about that? Yeah, Sound were blue to Brave. And not only were they blue, yeah, they have a CEO that was, let me see what her CEO is here. Corporations. I don't know if they're still in here. Nobody in local. Ali Kayilk. I don't recognize any of these names. We had her on one time. She was part of the defense of the Hydra hole when we did that. Well, anyway, she was an advisor to the late I forget his name now. Lichgrave? No. Sorry. Brave leader.
Lichten Condor?
Yeah. What was his name?
Lichten Condor?
Lichten, yeah. He passed away, unfortunately. But he was a leader of Brave at the time. He was a big personality and was leading Brave, and he relied on of Sound Mind quite a bit, and the advice of a Sound Mind on how to stay clear of things. In fact, I believe that Of Sound Mind was part of the Hero Coalition, if I'm not mistaken. And but they also, of Sound Mind, if I'm not mistaken, was part of in and around Providence, I want to say. It's gotten really fuzzy.
I
in my
think
memory.
they might have been in Providence a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago, right? And then they went to wormholes. Like they disappeared off the map and went to wormholes, and they ended up being in that the Hydra defensive Hydra, which was pretty good. They ended up losing, unfortunately. Let's go to talkinginstations.com, and you'll see how this works. This is how we do research. You can do a search, and let's do Kaskora. I know she was on that. So if she's on a show, I can find out where it is. She was staff, so let's see. Let's try Hydra. I think it was called Hydra. Here it is. The Battle of Hydra. So this will take me to the article. And this is actually a podcast, but we always have show notes. So June Ting, that's who it was. And it was. And so June Ting is right here. I'm going to pop that up so you can see it. You know, this is a rare sighting. I don't think she ever did media. This might be the only time she ever appeared anywhere. That's when INN was the sponsor. But yeah, right here is June Ting. That's the leader of Sound Mind at the time. Wow, we all look so much younger. Hey, that was about 4 years ago. As you can see, there's a... But yeah, so there was a lot of interest in that show, by the way. That was a very popular show. But what I wanted to show you was just how cool and easy Talking in Stations is to use. So you can either use the menu to get your news articles, which puts up just kind of the news briefs of the day. So put a bunch of this stuff up, right? That's just what you get if you subscribe to our newspaper. Or you can go and get articles, which is our longer form stuff. And now we have Naiden, who's going to be our editor, so you'll see a lot more stuff. I mean, this will essentially be Crossing Zebras once we get the writers up and running, because we'll have the artist and the editor of Crossing Zebras putting more stuff out for you guys. He's back after 2.5 years of absence. And or if you just want to look at old podcasts, if you want to go in chronological order, you can hit the podcasts here, and there you go. It's the podcasts for the last 4 years, 5 years. Yeah. And it's not just Talking in Stations, but you also see the universe. I think you'll also see Pando's FC chats when we carried those. We stopped carrying those after a while. Maybe we should get back to that.
Yeah, Batterall, you're muted.
Hello?
Looks.
Check.
Are you still muted? Now I hear you.
Okay, I was muted to you. I have a technical problem. My mic is going out every once in a while. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me? I think you can. Yeah, I have to unplug my device now. So some software got upgraded that I don't know about, and now my stuff doesn't work. Do you blame me for wanting to go back to Macintosh, where everything just worked? Okay, so as I was saying, the alliance names back then were off to regions, like Stain Alliance, right? That was a big one. Curse Alliance, right? Those are, again, Russians. They broke off and formed like AAA and Red Alliance, and Red Alliance broke up into Solar Fleet, and you start seeing all of them, but they all come back to Curse Alliance, right? And New Venal Alliance. And here's a New Venal Protectorate, which is actually, they were allies of that alliance. And in New Venal Protectorate, if I'm not mistaken, had like Reikoku in it, right? This is pre-Bob days. Fountain Alliance that sat there. So yeah, this is really interesting. This is one of the earliest maps of EVE Online. But we have other ones here, like different types of maps, different people who made them, all of them credited here. And a little bit of a history of that too. I believe Ashtarothi helped me with this. But a lot of research. Whoa, this one's gone. Let's see, these are all e-files. I think e-files, are you gone? Yeah, e-files is dead. It's a huge archive, dead. I'll have to check through there, see if those things are still alive. All right. So that's Talking in Stations, the website. And of course, our Patreon. If you like this work, you want to support this work, there's a way to do it. Of course, you can use your Prime accounts on Twitch, which is why we're on Twitch and not YouTube, because people have Prime accounts and they might be able to use them. Also, the audience for live stuff is here, and this is where we have always been. But YouTube is where we put our files for our videos for better archiving and better searchability and better commenting. So that's why we are split between the two. So if you can see here on our channel that you can buy Plex, and I think that helps us. I don't know how that works, but I think it helps us. And also you can join our Patreon and help us out that way. Talking about financial money, you can sign up to pay every month, or you can just donate. If you do any of that, that's great. Not everybody can do that, especially at this time. So if you can't, don't. It's not really necessary. It is just extremely helpful to take one of the major worries that we have off the table. But if you can't, the other way to help us out, and I don't plug stuff often because I just hate to do it, because I don't want to ask anything of people that are watching us, right? Your attention is enough, and but it does help us to get credibility and to be surfaced if you rate us. So on iTunes, give us 5 stars if that's what you think we deserve. Write a review. And even if you have some criticisms, write the review with some criticisms. We look at that, we read it, we take it in. But try to get us, try to subscribe to our YouTube channel, try to subscribe to this channel. All that kind of stuff that you can do really helps us out. And for all the people who are helping us financially, thank you very much. I want to say again, they're doing it for you guys that aren't helping out in that way. They don't want any credit. They just want you guys to... They want us to continue so you guys can all have this kind of information. Okay? That's the really belated pitch there. All right, so I'm going to raid over to OpenCom. So I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. We will see you Sunday for the weekend show where we bring in all this incredible talent to look over the week's events and to go over that. All right, have fun. We'll see you later.